All right. Well, thank you all. We'll go ahead now, and I know Governor Lee has a busy schedule, so we will introduce him. Governor Lee, thank you so much for joining us today. As you all know, 50th Governor of Tennessee, a tremendous ally to the business community. He engages us on so many things that come up, wants to hear our opinion, and we are greatly appreciative of that. You all remember Governor Lee won with a simple message that really resonated not only throughout Tennessee, but also in the business community, and that was good jobs, great schools, and safe neighborhoods. He's really lived up to that. He connects well with chamber members. You all know he is a mechanical engineer, so it's fun to get him in a meeting with business leaders. He became president of Lee Company in 1992, which was started by his grandfather in 1944. During his first year in office, he's done a tremendous amount, specifically strengthening career and technical training for chamber member companies. That's a passion of a number of you all, expanding school choice and criminal justice reform, which is vitally important to Tennessee's economy and provide opportunities for Tennesseans. In addition, and perhaps most importantly for a lot of us, is Tennessee, under his leadership, was named number one best fiscally managed state in the entire country. That says a lot. In addition, best business climate in the U.S., number one in the nation for advanced industry job growth, and the best state for small business growth. Governor, that's an extremely impressive track run. And on top of that, I think you're probably the only governor in the United States that is sitting on, and Commissioner Ely's in here, he's not going to want me to say this, but an over-collection economic growth of $1.3 billion above the estimate. That is impressive. Your leadership during this pandemic, we greatly appreciate you, Governor.
Thank you, Bradley. No. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you very much. The Chamber has been a great partner throughout this pandemic. And as you spoke specifically about the pandemic, and you talked about Mark Ezell, so he headed up our economic recovery group as we tried to balance lives and livelihoods as we walked through this with a real understanding that we had a real health crisis on our hands, and at the same time we had a crisis that was potentially going to cripple businesses and jobs and people's livelihoods as well. So how did we walk through that? And we created the economic recovery group alongside with our unified command group, which was really the health-focused side of this. And the Chamber was a great partner in that. You all and many of you and your industry leaders engaged with us in how it is that we develop policy through a pandemic in an environment that none of us had been through, but all of us knew that it was incredibly important that we do it well. And so thank you for your partnership. This is not, navigating through this last year has been something that all of Tennessee has done. And you have done a really good job of it. We are, just since we're speaking to business folks here and job creators, we are one of 7 states in the country who through this pandemic have had positive economic outcome. We are, and in the midst of being one of 7 states that has actually had positive revenues, we also are the 3rd lowest taxed state in the country. We have $1.5 billion in our rainy day fund and our reserves. We have $500 million in our TennCare reserve fund. You know, we made the decision early on, and Butch Ely is sitting here, my F&A commissioner, who worked every day on how it is that we best fiscally manage the federal dollars that came our way through the pandemic at the beginning of this. And we made the decision that the largest part of our CARES Act funding would go to sustain our unemployment trust fund. Because we knew that if it dropped below $1 billion, then every business in this state would be taxed with an increase in unemployment payments. And so we kept that unemployment trust fund at $1 billion. And here's why that matters. There are half the states in this country or so who have depleted their unemployment trust funds and borrowed money to pay those benefits. And that takes a long time to turn back around. But we've been committed to, we've had a long history in this state of good fiscal management and policy, and that commitment has paid off, not only in this pandemic, but for years to come, we believe. And it allows for us to have a stable business environment that's attractive to other industries. So we're talking every day to companies that are interested more now than ever in moving their locations to states where there is a stable business environment, where there's a strong tax environment, and where there's financial stability. So you're to be commended, because you certainly have had much to do with that. That fiscal policy, that conservative approach to managing a budget, you all as business people know if you don't manage a budget, you go bankrupt in business. In government, you raise taxes if you don't manage your budget effectively. And we don't think that's the right thing to do in this state. In fact, we will be proposing tax cuts through this next budget and through this next season of time. But because we've been good stewards and fiscally responsible, we collectively in this state, it allows us to be able to invest in the future of Tennessee. So we have had good economic return. We have had a surplus in spite of the pandemic, because of our fiscal policy, and therefore we're proposing $200 million into the expansion of broadband all across our state. It may be, I need to check this, but when we first put this out, it was the largest single investment by a state in a single year in broadband expansion. We're investing again in our rainy day fund. As I said, we are keeping our unemployment trust fund at $1 billion or more. We are investing in the future of our kids as well. The pandemic even brought to the surface issues that we already knew existed, mental health challenges, especially with kids, but the pandemic shined a greater light on that and the need for that to be addressed in our state. So we are proposing $250 million investment in a mental health trust fund for our kids. We're also investing heavily in education in a number of ways. The learning loss that existed in our state as a result of the pandemic was so important to me that we called a special session of the legislature in January to address some of those educational challenges, to address them this summer and not wait till the end of the session and therefore not be able to address them until next year. It's urgent that we invest in, and we have heavily in a literacy program for our children in early childhood learning. It's important that we invest in the things in this state that will be transformative for us in the days ahead. And we will be good stewards of the federal funding that will be coming our way as well. I've had much to say about that funding and my belief that it has not been the best strategy from a national standpoint. I believe that federal funding that is distributed to states based on their unemployment rate as opposed to their population is an indicator of a bad strategy for federal funding. I believe that federal funding that's touted as an infrastructure plan that has 5% committed to roads and bridges is not a best strategy for federal funding. But I believe that if in fact that federal funding makes its way to Tennessee, I commit to you that we will continue to be conservative, fiscally responsible managers of that money, and that we will invest it in ways that will serve the citizens of this state, to meet the needs of Tennesseans that need it most, and to invest in ways that continue to create an environment for the business community to thrive. You are the job creators in this state. And whenever I talk to a company about their job creating opportunity and ability, I say, you know, it's not a job, it's an opportunity to change some family's life or some individual's life. When we create a job, we create opportunity and we create life-changing experience for people. And I used to run a company and said that our mission was to create an environment where our employees could thrive. I want to create an environment in this state where people can thrive, where all citizenry have an opportunity to have to thrive and to have access to that opportunity. And part of the way we do that is we create an environment for businesses to thrive. Because when companies are thriving, when government gets out of the way and allows businesses to compete and to create and to prosper, then the people of Tennessee will benefit from that. And and by the way, on the federal funding side, I talked about a couple of things that are most troubling for me. An enormous spending package that takes 15 years to pay back, and the way that we pay it back is by increasing corporate taxes and business taxes by 30%. The very people that are going to create the jobs to tax businesses significantly on the tail end of an economic crisis is not common sense approach to me to paying for things that need to be done in this country. I want our state to be a state that supports businesses, that creates an environment for you to thrive so you can create opportunity for every person in this state. And we'll do what we can to make sure that happens. Again, I'll close just by saying I'm actually very hopeful for the days ahead. We're still in a pandemic. We still have to address this. I see Dr. Piercy sitting down here. Everyone knows who Dr. Piercy is now. But we're still in the midst of this, and we still have a lot of work to do, and we recognize that. But we believe that we will be able to put this behind us soon. We just started yesterday vaccinating opening it up to every age category in the state. We're going to be able to put this pandemic behind us, we believe, and we hope anyway, very soon. Our economy is moving forward. We do have a 4.5% unemployment rate. We do have revenue in our state that's exceeding the revenues from pre-pandemic. We do have people moving here from all over the country because they recognize that this is the kind of state they want to live in. Tennessee has some really powerful, hopeful days ahead of them. And I'm very hopeful for what that means for the people of our state. And I'm honored to serve you and to serve the people that you work with and those that are your constituents. I'm honored to serve you, and I commit to you that we'll serve in a way that creates an environment for you to thrive so that Tennesseans can thrive as well. Thank you, Bradley, for asking me to come. Very grateful for what you do and for how you change lives in this state and for the partnership that you bring to us as we try to do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor Lee. We're very thankful for your leadership for our great state of Tennessee. My name is Vanessa Bennett. I'm with your Kingsport Chamber, and I'm representing the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce Executives today, which we call TCCE. This was organized to enhance the professional growth and development of chamber executives, staff, and volunteers in the state of Tennessee. It is comprised of over 250 local chamber professionals representing 90 chambers in Tennessee. We are proud to partner with the Tennessee Chamber. We're having our winter conference here in Nashville tomorrow morning. It will be a hybrid event taking place at the Tennessee Chamber offices for those attending in person. We're also currently planning the annual conference that will be held in August in Knoxville, and the Chamber staff training at our annual TCC Institute in November, which is held in Murfreesboro. It feels so good to be saying in-person and live events. It is so good to see smiling faces today. We're extremely proud of the chambers across the state that remain vital to our business communities during the pandemic. Thank you for all you're doing and continuing to do. Now I'd like to introduce our TEDC representative, Susan Maynor, who is the interim Senior Vice President of Economic Development with the Greater Memphis Chamber. Welcome, Susan.
Thank y'all very much. Wow, this is so neat. I don't see a single screen. I don't see any Brady Bunches, nothing. This is cool. And I want to make one correction. I am not the interim Senior Vice President of Economic Development. I am so lucky the Chamber has got a new Senior Vice President, but it's actually the Chief Economic Development Officer for the Chamber, and I thought he was in the room. Is Ted still here? I'm trying to suck it to my boss. He's not even here. But so most of y'all know Ted Townsend, and y'all know how lucky Memphis is to have him. But I'm here representing Tennessee Economic Development Council, and I want to thank everybody here that's in the council that's here. Thank y'all for coming. It is so good to see y'all in person. I also want to thank our partners all across the state. None of us could do what we do. None of these jobs that the governor talked about could be created without the help of Commissioner Roth and his team. Thank you, Commissioner Roth. Jamie, Alan, thank y'all. I know that the rest of y'all's team's out recruiting companies to come to the state, so I'll have a bunch of RFIs when I get to the office. But thank y'all so much for all y'all do. I also want to thank Susie Lusk and Carolyn Davis. Everybody in this room knows that none of this stuff, nothing in this state can happen without them. And we really appreciate all y'all's work. I also want to remind everybody that the TEDC's fall conference is going to be alive in person in Memphis, Tennessee, September 22nd through the 24th. I hope all y'all can make it. Come early, stay late. Our hotels really want to see you. And also remember to bring your blue suede shoes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan and Vanessa. Greatly appreciate our partnership with TCCE and TEDC. Next, a couple of announcements. We are going to adjourn this meeting. Hotel staff has asked for time to rearrange the room. Our afternoon programming will begin around 1:15, 1:10, waiting for signs. Feel free to come back in. You can be in person to watch the afternoon programming. Susie will, if you have any questions, ask Susie. I guess not sure how they're going to rearrange the room, but we will be back in here. But thank you all again for coming and putting your trust in us. We know next year we're going to shoot for, 550 or 600, 6 million, right? So we'll have a great year, but thank you all for your patience this year, and we will stand in adjournment until 1:15.